Yeah, been a while since I saw you. We've had a lot of changes, obviously, a lot of new faces in the building. It's kind of exciting with the new coaches we have in the building, the new players we have in the building. Has a little different feel. We've been getting back to work as a football team and had the guys in the weight room and on the field running a little bit. Excited about that, too. It seems to be some energy injected into everything we're doing because of some of the new faces. Recruiting's changed, and we signed a lot of the pieces that we needed in the early signing, but we have a lot of additions today and 2 new freshmen that signed with us today. So we feel like we're putting some pieces together that are going to fit well with the team we already have and give us a chance to work with them and try to get better. So we're excited about it. Questions?
Coach, with 5 new coaches and almost 30 new players added, does this feel a lot different than a year 5 for you, having this much kind of change in 1 year for the roster?
It feels different, Sean, but everything's changing. And other than the new coaching faces, I think this is kind of where it's going. There's so many kids getting in the portal, so many changes, people jumping around, and I expect that this year will kind of be the new normal going forward.
I know you want to be selective about who you added today. Can you talk about the 2 additions you signed?
Absolutely. Jin Iron Bonner, a guy we kind of got on late, was kind of looking around after the early signing period. He's one of the guys you put on his tape, and it takes you about 2 plays to realize his athletic ability. Mickey did a really good job with him. Coach Beck did a really good job with him. I went down and saw him the last week of recruiting. Really impressed by his talent, but also the type of kid that he is. Had a great team around him, and we're excited to add him. I think he can be a big play guy for us down the road. A.J. Allen is kind of interesting because we were kind of shopping for one more running back at the position, another freshman. I didn't know anything about him until I started interviewing running back coaches. Coach Applewhite mentioned him to me. And kind of the same way when I put on his tape, he's one of my favorite guys that I watched all year. There's a lot of backs that can do some things. I think he's a guy that can potentially do everything that we need a running back to do. I'm really impressed with his quickness and ability to make somebody miss in short space and in the hole. Another great family, and again, somebody that kind of popped up onto my radar late, but I'm really glad we got him.
What do you think the 2 quarterbacks that you added, why did you choose that 2?
We usually carry 5 Sam scholarship guys. We were down to 3 returning. So we felt like we needed to get the numbers back up. Looking forward to some competition at some of these positions, and that being one of them. But there's a lot of new faces and new additions that are going to be able to compete with our guys and push them. We're going to let the best man win, but we felt like in order to get that position back to where it should be, that maybe adding 2, and if we could find the 2 right ones, that we wanted them.
What do you like about Casey in particular? He's experienced. His dad was quarterback in college. So what do you like about him, and what do you feel like he's already added to the room?
Yeah, first of all, his dad's an option quarterback, and I have a soft spot in my heart for Tommy Frazier and Eric Crouch and Turner Gill and D. Dowis and even Mickey Joseph. It's a dying fraternity, but I got to see his dad the other day, and it was great to see and talk a little football with him. The biggest thing I've noticed so far, we haven't gotten a chance to see him do much with a football or anything, but the biggest thing I notice already is just the leadership coming from those guys and the energy coming from those guys. And that's what a quarterback's supposed to do, supposed to pick up the level of play from everybody around him. And that's tough to do in your first week on campus or your first 2 weeks on campus, but he's doing it. Look forward to working with him, have Coach Whipple work with him. Same with Chubba has been doing a great job with that too, along with the other quarterbacks. But we need leadership from that position, and we need a guy that's going to say, hey, get behind me. We're going to go win this thing, and I'm going to lead you there. And you get that feel from those guys.
The narrative, of course, is that he was brought here to start. So is there a competition, and will there be a competition?
Yeah, that's not my narrative. There's a lot of narratives around that aren't really based in fact. He's going to have every opportunity to start, and he knows that. The other guys are going to get their opportunities too. And we got a long time to work with them and a spring ball and a fall camp to figure it all out.
Now, what do you think about the running back room as a whole? I mean, talk about competition. Is that one of the more wide open position groups that you would have going into spring?
Yeah, I thought we did a good job at that position last year, but we needed to get better. We were really young at the position. Ramir being a sophomore and Yant basically a freshman and Gabe a freshman and other guys. We were short numbers there too, and so we've added a few here with AJ being the latest. And again, I think the talent level in that room, watching them run around, is going to be really good. They're learning new terminology and some new scheme right now, just like everybody else, and may the best man win.
How do you feel about your overall position right now? Scholarships, where you're at, where you need to be, and if you'd like to still adding new numbers?
Yeah, I mean, we're always going to be looking, and I think there's going to be waves of people getting into the transfer portal and waves of people that are eligible to come to schools, and we're always going to try to keep a few in our back pocket in this day and age and try to figure out if there's somebody else that we can add to help the football team. It's such a moving target now with the numbers and kids jumping in and out of the portal. We actually get extra spots back and extra initials back when we have kids from our school enter the portal, which means we could sign a lot of kids as long as there's room under the 85. So there's a lot of things to track right now, but we'll keep our eye out and see if there's anybody that we can add after this semester.
You added a couple of veteran offensive linemen to your group too. I mean, how much of a competition is there, just in terms of trying to figure out where guys are going to play up front, and then sort of what Donovan has to work with?
Yeah, I like our talent there, and we got a lot of returning experience. We thought we needed to add some guys to get more bodies in the room. We were low on numbers there too, coming off the season with a couple departures. So, we got a couple guys come in that are transfers. Looking forward to, just like the other positions I mentioned, to watching them compete against everybody else. We got a couple guys going to be out for spring up front, so there's going to be a lot of reps. Some guys coming back that played a whole bunch last year that looking forward to have Donnie work with to see if we can make some strides. And I don't know for sure yet where the pieces will fit together up front, but spring ball will help us tell that.
Is Turner one of those guys? And I guess I'm asking in part because obviously you don't know exactly who the center is going to be, and I was curious if you considered looking at him there, or how many different guys are in that position?
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys in the conversation. Turner's a guy I think is probably capable of playing all five positions if we needed him to. Did a great job at left tackle, looked great at right tackle when we moved him over when Teddy played. Teddy and Turner are both going to miss spring with injuries, so they're around and learning and able to do some things. But, again, that's going to help some other guys get reps, and Turner in particular are probably going to have to figure out where he fits the best.
Defensive back was another position that added a number of players this offseason. I guess what led to kind of you wanting to have another talent infusion in that group?
Well, we were short there, particularly at safety numbers, and we have a lot of experience returning at almost every position. Basically, secondary was the one where we lost quite a bit. Cam Taylor-Britt going, and Deontay and Markel. So we wanted to go out and try to find at least two corners and a safety. Love the guys we added, watching them run around. There's some real athletes in that group. Fish and Chins have their work cut out to get those guys ready to play, but feel good about the talent that we added to that position.
Scott, in your opinion, this is kind of your opinion, could you get a quarterback in here of Casey Thompson's profile without a big, well-structured NIL operation?
Quarterback's so unique because there's one that's going to play at every school, and he's coming here to compete for the chance to do that. As some of these quarterbacks were bouncing around like lotto balls, there's only so many landing spots because some guys have their guy. We were one of the schools once our quarterback from last year left that I think a lot of people were interested in, and I feel good about where we landed.
Was there ever a point where you thought, I don't like where this is going, or were you always confident during the process?
It was just evaluating, trying to figure out who fit us, which one we could get, and even tougher when kids couldn't visit campus. That process would be a lot easier if we get them on campus and watch film with them and learn That was one issue with us with the portal this year is there's a lot of sight unseen stuff, conversations you can have on the phone, but not a lot of possibility for in-person or no possibility for in-person contact. So, it was a dance and trying to figure it all out. But again, I feel good about where we landed with the two guys.
Just sort of outline how your defensive staff's going to shake out. Obviously, with Bill handling special teams, there's some shuffle duties.
Bill's going to be full-time special teams, and if you've been in Nebraska, that's been an issue for us. He was able to help us from a scheming standpoint last year with special teams, and I think in a lot of ways we got better. It was tough with him not being able to be out on the field coaching. So that's going to take up a lot of his time, and then he's going to probably assist with a position on defense, and that's yet to be determined.
You signed a kicker and a punter from the portal. Is Daniel Cherney, is he still with you guys right now, Coach?
Daniel's going to go on medical scholarship with a knee issue, so we're grateful to him, and he's going to stay at Nebraska from down under and get his degree and hopefully still be around the team.
Obviously, there's some of the things with special teams are related to the specialists themselves, but why is it going to be different this year than it has been previously?
I'd say first and foremost what you said, we got to do a better job at specialist last year than we did last year, and it wasn't all necessarily those kids' fault. We had a kicker that had a great year the year before and just had some injury issues and did well at times punting the ball, and other times it was disastrous. And I think trying to get those guys in there will certainly help. We haven't had a returner that we feel great about bringing the ball out of the end zone on kickoff or giving us a chance to score on punt return. So I would speak to that I think every year we've been here, the overall athletic ability and speed of our team has gotten better. I think that should help us in the return game and the kick coverage game.
Is Trey Palmer, he's one of your transfers, is he the person that you hope you can look to be a returner?
Yeah, there's several in the receiver room, running back room, and DB room that I think have the capability to do it. Trey certainly being one of them.
What have sort of the discussions been like with your offensive staff as you've kind of gotten to know each other and getting the ball rolling there?
It's been interesting with guys coming from different places. The staff that we had been together so long that we all spoke the same language, knew the same things. That was good from a continuity standpoint. Maybe not great from a fresh idea standpoint. And now it's kind of flipped. We have a lot of fresh ideas and a little bit of a language barrier. But we've been meeting a lot. There's smart guys in that room and good coaches in that room. We've been, like I said, going into the hiring, we've been trying to marry the systems, and I think done a good job of that so far, trying to keep as much in our language as we can, but getting to the schemes that we agree on and Coach Whipple wants to run. So it's been fun to be in a room with guys coming from different places with a little different slant on things and trying to put it all together.
How would you characterize your comfort level with where it's at right now?
I'm really comfortable with where it is. We have a lot of work to do. You don't realize how many individual line calls based on looks and how many rules and how many protection changes and names of routes and everything that there are and how much our kids have to learn. It's really like learning a language, and it's like learning sign language when we're signaling the plays in. So we got to get our coaches comfortable with our terminology and marry it as much as we can, and then the kids are going to have to learn a few new things too. And that's a process, so we won't be completely done with that for a long time. I'm sure there'll still be things that come up. So there's a lot of work ahead, but I'm really comfortable how it's going and where we are.
Hey, Scott, this used to be the biggest day for recruiting. Now, obviously, it's changed. Would you like to see it go back to the old system?
It doesn't matter what I want. It's not going back. It's not going back. This is the way it's going to be. I think the landscape of college football is changing a lot with some of these new rules, and I think it's going to continue to change.
Are you comfortable with the portal? I mean, this year was more wild than any year yet. What's your feeling, your comfort level with the system?
Again, it doesn't really matter what I think or how comfortable I am. That's the game, and we have to play it. We're going to lose kids. Every school is losing kids that they don't want to lose, some that they might want to lose. And, you used to try to plug any holes you have on your roster with junior college kids, and now there's 1,000 kids in the transfer portal that you got to sort through. It's going to change our structure a little bit. We're going to have to keep track of a lot more things and kids that could potentially leave and those type of things to gather information. That's the way it is now, so we're going to do the best we can with it.
Do you have a specific portal guy now? Like, just that's all they do?
We're going to. We get alerts right now of kids that are jumping in and out, and our recruiting staff's done a pretty good job evaluating those and getting us the important names.
Do you want to like hire like a specific person or like designate? Because I mean, it seems now it's almost like it's a full-time job just to figure that out.
Yeah, you know, baseball teams, pro baseball teams have scouting departments for high school kids and college kids, and then they have to scout each other's teams too. And there's a lot of schools in the country to try to scout all the rosters, and then you're trying to anticipate who might jump into the portal and who might not, and it could be a full-time job, absolutely.
Would you like to see them kind of alter the dead period in January so you can bring some guys in a little bit earlier because of the enrollment date and the transfer portal, all the obstacles you talked about? Do you anticipate them maybe adjusting that rule over time?
I hope so. Again, my opinion doesn't matter, but there's a discrepancy based on when your semester starts and put some schools at an advantage and disadvantage. Our semester started early, which kind of prevented us from being able to bring kids that were potential transfers on campus for official visits. Hopefully that gets addressed, but we did the best we could under the circumstances.
Scott, you seem enthused, yet you've been tasked with a lot of the past 10, 11 weeks, something like that, with the coaching staff, managing the roster and then recruiting as well. How do you describe the amount of work that you have been in charge of over the last 2 months plus? Yeah,
it's been a lot of changes. Some of it I think was needed. Some of it was not a lot of fun to do. You know, some of the guys that aren't here anymore were my best friends, and they're great guys and good coaches. But I'm also really comfortable with the guys we have now. And like I said, it's been a lot of fun for me to be in the room, talking some new ideas and new ball with people. I think if you're done learning, you're done growing, and I think we're able to show them some things that we did that were really good, and I'm learning from those guys too. It's also freed me up to be more of a head coach, because when I walk out of the room, man, Coach Whipple's got it dialed in. So it doesn't require my attention all the time, and that's going to allow me to spend more time with the players and do some other things that I look forward to doing every day.
What is Whipple's personality like from a coaching standpoint and just in that room that you referred to?
You know, you'll get to know Whip, so I don't want to describe his personality for you, but man, he's smart and sharp. Knows what he wants, knows what he does, and if you're going to be in charge and take something over, you know, you got to be really confident. Coaching's pretty simple, really. At the end of the day, you make relationships with kids so they trust you, and if you know what you're talking about and can communicate it clearly, you can get there, and he does a great job with all those things.
Scott, it's a big week and a half for Zach Taylor coming up. Thoughts on the former Husker quarterback in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I'm excited for those guys, not just Zach, but Troy Walters is there, Stanley Morgan is there. You talk about three great people that are dedicated to the game. So I was watching the game intently, and sure thought the Chiefs were going to win it when they're up 21-3, but I couldn't be happier for Zach and Troy and Stanley. I got allegiance to the other team too. Raheem Morris is the D coordinator, and he's really the guy that got me into coaching. So I'll be watching and trying to root for all those guys, and it's going to be a fun game.
What was the last addition to the staff? Did you know him at all before you interviewed him? And I guess what was it that told you that he was the guy?
Believe it or not, I didn't remember it, but Brian was at the same Big Red football school in 1992 that I was at. So we talked about that, staying at the dorm over here. I can't remember if we were Harper Schramm Smith or we were Abel Sandos, but staying in the dorm for 6 days and going to football camp. I've run into him several times at conventions and recruiting. Already really impressed with him, and I just think what Mickey and Brian are going to demand, and Donnie are going to demand out of the kids at their position, hopefully helps us a bunch.
Scott, you had Mickey and Barrett both recruiting in the Omaha area in recent weeks. Has it become a maybe even greater point of emphasis to try and keep some of the talent from that area within the border?
Yeah, you know, it's been tough, especially with COVID, because we haven't had a chance to get around Nebraska coaches as much as we want to, and some of those relationships need our attention, and having a lot of guys in Nebraska. The first day we went out, we sent our whole coaching staff out in Nebraska, except for me because I had COVID. So we want Nebraska kids here, and obviously Mickey has a lot of relationships and people know him. Barrett has a lot of relationships and people know him. So those will be the primary Nebraska recruiters for us. There's a lot of talent, in my opinion, coming up in the state of Nebraska in the region. So that's where our attention is going to be.
You mentioned competition quite a bit. At some of those spots where you went heavy in the portal or through recruiting, defensive back, wide receiver, running back, what do you want the mentality, the attitude of the guys who are returning to be when you get into spring practice?
Well, I want them to learn. I want guys that are dedicated doing little things it takes to win. And we did a lot of things right last year and a lot of little things wrong when we needed it the most. When you're doing little things right, it becomes a habit. And, we talk, a lot of people talk about it, but you don't rise to the occasion, you sink to the level you're training. So I want guys to have those type of practices every day, weightlifting sessions every day, the little things that are going to help us win and the attitude that's going to help us win. But with some of the numbers we have now at those positions, those guys better take advantage of their reps if they want to be on the field. And I think that's the competition is going to help stimulate effort in practice.
Scott, you mentioned Turner and Teddy. Any other guys that won't be able to work this day?
Yeah, I had that list and I forgot to bring it. Travis Vokalek had surgery and is going to miss some of spring. Damian Jackson. Am I missing anyone? Gabe Irvin will be getting close by that time. If I forgot anybody, I'll let you know.
Last fall, you weren't sure with the future health for Javen, right? You said that he was dealing with a spotting issue or something like that. Do you think he's got football in his future?
Yeah, everything looks good with Javen. They call him Buddha. Once he had a blood clot, we had to make sure that wasn't something genetic that was going to happen over and over. All signs point to the right place right now that he's going to be able to continue, and he's been working out with us. So I'm not sure if he'll be full speed and contact for all of spring ball, but he's ready to go and should be great for next season.
And we hadn't asked you about Anthony Grant, your running back at JUCO. I mean, what made you guys go to JUCO back? What did you like about Anthony that said, you know what, we got to take this guy?
Well, again, I wanted to add some talent to that position. We're young at that position, love who we have, but wanted to add some competition too. We actually had a couple coaches that went to a junior college game or two to watch a kid on another team, and Anthony stood out. He's had one chance in another school and had to go back to junior college, so this is his second chance, and hopefully he takes advantage of it. He's definitely a talented guy. Watching him run around, and he's going to have an opportunity just like everyone else.
Do you like your numbers at all your position groups right now, or is there a particular spot where you feel like, okay, maybe we're a guy short here?
Yeah, we're always going to look to add talent no matter what position it is. So if we come up with guys that we think make our team better, we're going to keep our eyes open for that. We'd probably still like to add a couple big guys on both sides of the ball, or at least one, just because our numbers are a little down at those positions with departures.
Would that be the defensive side of the ball, where you're looking to add another big guy, because the D-line numbers are looking sort of low compared to other spots?
Yeah, when we got here, we were a little more odd front, which means we played with three big guys all the time. We've been more even now, which cuts that number from 3 to 2. So our number of need at that position and what we target has gone down. But if the right guy shows up, we'll certainly look to add a body there.
I think everybody can see the talent of guys like Manning, Betts, and Oliver Martin even from last season. What do you want to see from those three now that they're getting a coach who's coached really high-level players?
Yeah, want to see consistency. Those guys all had flashes of brilliance last year at certain times, and other times when it wasn't what we expected. Experience is certainly going to help with that, and hopefully Mickey helps with that. They're going to have a lot of guys on their heels and chasing them with Isaiah here and with some of the other additions that we've made, and Trey and some of the other guys. So, if they're not doing the right thing, somebody else is going to be on the field, and that's the way it's going to be at every position.
It's your potential alone, but what is the ceiling for that trio of players?
Yeah, more than just a trio. I think there's a bunch of guys. Again, we've been able to watch the guys run, not do any football stuff, but just run, and we got some guys that can move. Some of the guys that have been here, and some of the guys that are new. So we should be able to field a bunch of guys that we feel comfortable being on the field, and again, they're going to get a chance to compete to see which ones are starting.
With Travis Hope, what are you hoping to see maybe from some of the younger guys like Thomas Cadoni, who hopefully will get a full spring camp this year?
Yeah, really anxious to see the development of those young guys at that position. We feel like we got really good young talent there. Thomas and AJ and others. So those guys are going to get reps with Travis out. I think that's going to be great for them. Obviously, Travis has enough reps that we feel good about him when he comes back and gets back with the team this summer in fall camp. But those guys are going to get their shot to really develop, and Coach Beck will do a great job with them.
Did you see either of our portal QB additions blink at all about two guys coming in at the same time? Is portal QB recruiting a little different, or how would that play out for you?
No, we were honest and open with both of them, and told them both we were probably going to take two if we found the right ones, and neither one of them blinked. But that's what competitors do. All they want is an opportunity, and that's what they're going to get. Thank you.